Mr. Coburn was critical of guidelines set out by the EU's Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier over the future free trade agreement. The UKIP MEP also demanded to know whether the EU was purposely making the negotiations difficult to create civil unrest in Britain. Speaking at the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs, he said, "The EU expects the UK to submit itself to such a humiliation." Barnier was told on Friday that paragraph 12 of the European Council guidelines, I have them here. YouTube Brexit News, David Coburn ripped into the European Union for trying to make Brexit impossible. The aim of the future trade deal should be to prevent unfair competitive advantage that the UK could enjoy through undercutting levels of protection in respect to, amongst other things, tax, and requiring a combination of substantive rules aligned with EU standards, mechanisms to ensure enforcement, and autonomous regimes. If UK tax policy is to forever be determined by a third-party arbiter with the power to fine the UK, that would be taxation without representation, sir. Wars have started over such tyrannies. Is the Commission trying to spark a civil unrest in the UK? Or merely trying to make a deal with the UK absolutely impossible? The Commissioner for Economic and Financial Affairs, Taxation, and Customs, Pierre Moscovici replied, I am afraid I am going to have to be brief because your question does fall outside the scope of our discussion today. Wars have started over such tyrannies. Is the Commission trying to spark a civil unrest in the UK? David Coburn. As you know, Michel Barnier on behalf of the Commission, who is negotiating on behalf of the 27 member states on the basis of defined principles that the European Council has confirmed. What we want to do clearly is conclude a good, amicable agreement with the UK which will allow us to maintain close relations, because even if the UK is ultimately choosing to leave the EU, it will still be a European country. No one is calling into question its sovereignty, but there will have to be cooperation agreements amongst ourselves, and that is what we will do. The fiery clash comes as the European Council agreed to move Brexit discussions onto the future relationship after the terms of the transitional deal were agreed.